Bro, Rico Verhoeven just posted on Instagram and said 5 words that have completely changed this entire story. Not about the robbery, not about a rematch. 5 words about the official appeal his team filed while heading to the airport the morning after the fight. And those 5 words, rules only matter if they are applied when it matters most, have blown the boxing world wide open once again at the same time. Boxing professionals across the globe are now publicly reacting to the growing retirement talk surrounding Oleksandr Usyk. Stay with me, because by the time we get to what Eddie Hearn, Ryan Garcia, and Peter Fury all said about the same fight from 3 entirely different perspectives, you'll understand why this story is far from finished. This is where the situation becomes increasingly complex. Alright bro, let's put the whole picture together, because there are so many different storylines running through this situation right now that people are starting to lose track of which part is the most unbelievable. Saturday night, the Pyramids of Giza, Egypt. Glory in Giza, Oleksandr Usyk, undefeated with 25 victories, a 2-time undisputed heavyweight champion who beat Anthony Joshua twice and Tyson Fury twice, steps into the ring to defend his WBC heavyweight title against Rico Verhoeven, a kickboxer whose record included just 1 professional boxing match more than a decade ago. The entire boxing world saw this as a stay-busy fight, a spectacle, a payday at a historic venue before a much bigger challenge. No cap, what unfolded over 11 rounds was one of the most shocking performances the heavyweight division has witnessed in years from a supposed underdog. Rico entered the fight with a complete game plan designed by Peter Fury, Tyson Fury's uncle, and he executed it perfectly round after round. High guard, constant pressure, double jab. He walked Usyk down, fully utilizing his 25-pound weight advantage, and Usyk, arguably the most technically gifted heavyweight of his generation, looked flat, slow, and genuinely surprised from the opening bell. 2 judges had the fight dead even after 10 rounds. 1 judge had Rico ahead. Multiple observers scored it 7 rounds to 3 for Verhoeven heading into round 11. That then came round 11. Usyk finally found his right uppercut and dropped Rico for the first time all night. Rico beat the count. Usyk rushed in. Rico was hurt, but his hands were still up and he was still defending himself. Then, with 1 second left on the clock, literally 1 second, referee Mark L. waved the fight off. The internet exploded. The boxing world completely lost its mind. And then Peter Fury boarded a flight home. On that same flight was Mark L. Peter Fury walked up to him and said, "You made a mistake." And according to Fury, the referee looked at him and replied, "Peter, I didn't hear the bell." Not a judgment call, not a safety decision. The referee stopped a heavyweight world title fight because he couldn't hear the bell over the crowd noise. That is the foundation of everything happening right now. And it only gets bigger from there, honestly. If you watched that fight like I did, you were probably thinking about giving up on boxing altogether. Rico was absolutely dominating. He was making Oleksandr Usyk look incredibly ordinary, incredibly average, but he was moving forward. He was controlling the fight. He was winning rounds. Many people felt he was comfortably ahead on points. Then in the 11th round, yes, Usyk landed a couple of good shots, but the referee stepped in and stopped the fight with 1 second remaining. 1 second. Rico was robbed, absolutely robbed, because if he had been given 1 more second, he would have reached the bell. He would have gotten his minute of rest. He would have come out for the final round, and who knows what happens then. It didn't look like he was in serious danger. It didn't look like he was completely out of the fight. He deserved that final chance. That's why so many people are furious. Rico was absolutely robbed. What a sport boxing has become. But wait, because what happened next is the sequence that completely changed the story. Rico was respectful in his immediate post-fight interview. Gracious, even. He said the decision wasn't up to him. He said he was thankful for the opportunity. Then he got back to the locker room, and someone told him what Peter Fury had learned on the plane, that the referee stopped the fight because he didn't hear the bell. And that is when everything changed. Rico went on Instagram. No outburst. No accusations of corruption. No claims that boxing is fixed, rigged, or corrupt. Just confirmation that an official appeal had been filed, along with 1 sentence that has been shared across virtually every combat sports platform since it was posted. An official protest had been filed on our way to the airport. Rules only matter if they are applied when it matters most. Bro, think about that for a second. Rules only matter if they are applied when it matters most. That's not anger, that's not bitterness. That's a man who believes the facts are on his side, making a calm, measured, and almost impossible to argue a statement. You can't dismiss it. You can't brush it aside. And you can't call it sour grapes when the referee himself reportedly admitted the mistake on the plane. Rico simply stated what happened and let the statement speak for itself. The appeal reportedly rests on two key arguments. First, the bell had already rung before the fight was stopped. The footage appears to support it. The referee allegedly acknowledged it. Second, Rico was reportedly never given a proper standing 8 count after the knockdown before the action resumed, something his team argues is required under the applicable rules. Point 2, procedural issues. Both are documented. Both are being presented as legitimate grounds for appeal. And while that paperwork was making its way through the system, a second storyline, one that might actually be even bigger, started developing at the same time, because during his post-fight interview, Usyk said something nobody expected to hear from him. He admitted that he feels tired. And that single admission, coming from a fighter who has almost never shown public weakness throughout his career, immediately opened a conversation that still hasn't gone away. This is where the major voices in boxing start weighing in. And bro, the things they're saying are not insignificant. Eddie Hearn was one of the first. This is the man who promoted Anthony Joshua through 2 defeats against Usyk. Someone who has watched more Usyk fights from ringside than almost anyone else in British boxing. Hearn said he had Rico ahead on the scorecards going into round 11. He acknowledged that Usyk hurt Rico late in the fight, but insisted it wasn't enough to justify what happened next. Then he delivered the assessment that really caught people's attention. It was a poor stoppage. Hearn argued that when a fighter is ahead in the fight, or at least highly competitive, you cannot stop the contest unless he's taking serious punishment. That's not a fan talking. That's not a social media commentator. That's the head of Matchroom Boxing making a measured professional assessment. Then came Ryan Garcia. Garcia avoided directly attacking the referee, which makes sense given his own history with officials and controversial decisions. But he still made his position clear. He praised Rico's performance and said Rico's style caused Usyk all kinds of problems. According to Garcia, Rico fought his heart out and brought a style that completely disrupted Usyk's rhythm. Then Garcia said the part everyone focused on. If I'm telling the truth, I believe the round ended. I thought the round ended. That's Ryan Garcia publicly saying what Peter Fury reportedly heard on that plane, what many fans believe the footage shows, and what continues to fuel the controversy surrounding the stoppage. The round had ended. What many believe the footage confirms is that the round had already ended. Peter Fury himself, arguably the person with the strongest standing to speak on the situation, said the stoppage was premature. He openly acknowledged that Rico was tired and fatigued in round 11. He even asked the obvious question himself. Could Rico have made it to round 12? Maybe not. Probably not. But Peter's point was simple. The stoppage was still wrong. That nuance matters because it's probably the most honest assessment anyone connected to Rico's corner has given. He wasn't pretending Rico was fresh. He wasn't claiming Rico was definitely going to win. He was simply saying Rico deserved the chance to find out. Then came the retirement discussion. Garcia, Usyk's former promoter, and someone who knows him better than almost anyone in the sport, went on camera and made a direct public appeal. He said that if he were advising Usyk, his next opponent should be his wife Katarina, his daughters, and his sons that go home. Enjoy your family. Leave before it's too late, as Garcia put it. It's better to leave 1 hour too early than 2 minutes too late. From the bottom of his heart, he said he wants Usyk to retire at the peak of his career and be remembered as one of the greatest fighters of all time. Spencer Oliver echoed a similar sentiment. He spoke about Usyk's retirement as a matter of when, not if. Frank Warren became emotional when discussing the possibility. Then there was Don Charles, a respected trainer who watched the fight closely and described it as a nightmare unfolding round after round. He said he kept waiting for Usyk to switch gears, take control, and show the level everyone expected. But that moment never truly came. Think about that. Respected boxing trainer describing the performance of the man many consider the best heavyweight in the world as a nightmare unfolding against a kickboxer competing in only his second professional boxing match. That's a major statement from a major voice in the sport. Now here's where things get really interesting, because this is the detail that connects the appeal and the retirement conversation in the most uncomfortable way possible. Before this fight ever happened, Usyk was already thinking about the end of his career. In an interview with the Ring magazine, he openly discussed his future plans. The roadmap was clear. Rico first, then potentially 2 more fights, then retirement. He even named preferred opponents for those final fights. Most importantly, he used the word final. That means this wasn't a new idea. Usyk was already planning his exit before he ever stepped into the ring with Rico Verhoeven, then a respected British content creator with genuine ringside access, someone who personally interviewed Usyk after both of his undisputed title victories, made an observation that completely reframed the discussion. The first time he interviewed Usyk after becoming undisputed champion, the emotion was overwhelming. The second time, not so much. The accomplishment was just as significant, but the hunger seemed different. The fire wasn't the same, because he'd already done it. He had already reached the summit. And once a fighter enters what some call bonus time, once every major goal has been achieved, the danger increases dramatically. Why? Because the opponents coming next are still chasing their dreams. They still have something to prove. Their hunger is naturally greater. And Rico Verhoeven demonstrated exactly that over 11 rounds beneath the pyramids of Giza. Now we arrive at the point where the appeal and the retirement discussion collide in the most uncomfortable way imaginable. Because if Usyk retires, and many of the people around him seem to believe that possibility is very real, then Rico's appeal could become largely irrelevant from a practical standpoint. There would be no active champion to rematch that, and no clear path to settle the controversy inside the ring, and no realistic opportunity to run it back. Rico Verhoeven could end up becoming the fighter many believe won a heavyweight world title fight, while the official record forever says he lost at a controversial defeat against a champion who walked away before giving him another opportunity. The entire world watched what happened. The referee reportedly admitted what happened. The appeal paperwork has been filed, and those 5 words on Rico's Instagram continue to hang over the sport. Rules only matter if they are applied when it matters most. No cap, that quote could follow boxing for a very long time. Everyone heard it. Everyone saw the controversy. The question now is whether boxing has an answer. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Does Rico's appeal actually go anywhere?